President Biden ramping up his outreach to congressional Democrats this morning, sending them a strongly worded letter arguing that the voters of the Democratic Party chose him as the nominee, and in a new interview just moments ago, daring any opponents to run against him. This morning, the pressure on President Biden intensifying as Democrats on Capitol Hill grow increasingly anxious about his campaign in the wake of that debate performance. At least 4 more House Democrats now say they believe the president should leave the race, bringing the total to at least 9. Yes. The president speaking out this morning.
We're not going anywhere. I am not going anywhere. I wouldn't be running if I didn't absolutely believe that I am the best candidate to beat Donald Trump in 2024.
The 4 lawmakers made the comments during a virtual meeting held by House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries. Multiple people on the call tell NBC News. The Biden campaign points out that other lawmakers, including some from the Congressional Black Caucus, are forcefully defending the president.
I'm supporting him, and I do believe he is the best person for the job.
The president, in an ABC News interview Friday, asked how he would feel if he stayed in the race and former President Trump won.
I feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the goodest job as I know I can do.
Democrats responding.
That is the answer that most concerned me as well. This is not just about whether he gave it the best college try, but rather whether he made the right decision to run or to pass the torch.
While allies push for President Biden to answer voter questions.
The clock is ticking. This is going to be a really important and vital week.
Vice President Kamala Harris on offense at the Essence Festival in New Orleans, blasting former President Trump.
You have the former president who is running to become president again, who has openly talked about his admiration of dictators and his intention to be a dictator on day one.
Some Democrats now wondering whether the vice president should lead the ticket.
Could she win overwhelmingly, Congressman?
I think she very well could win overwhelmingly.
The president this morning clarifying his answer about how he'd feel if Mr. Trump won, now saying it's not an option and that he'll beat him again. This week, President Biden will be meeting with global leaders at the NATO summit and will hold a rare solo press conference on Thursday. Savannah?
All right, Gabe, thank you. I want to turn now to our senior Washington correspondent, Hallie Jackson. Hallie, what is the state of play right now? Because you do have some House Democrats saying, OK, the president should step aside, let someone else run. But you also have other Democrats who are circling the wagons. You have the president clearly defiant, saying only the Lord Almighty, his words, could get him out of the race.
So when you talk about the state of play, Savannah, since that poor debate performance, you've seen former President Trump take the lead in a series of polls. But the headline is this: it is still an extremely close race today. And in fact, there's some new Bloomberg polling out showing in these critical battleground states, while Mr. Trump leads in 5 of 7 of them, almost all inside the margin of error, President Biden is ahead in Wisconsin and Michigan, again, inside the margin of error here. You talked about what's happening on Capitol Hill. You've got some key meetings with Democrats on Capitol Hill, internal discussions for them this week. You've got the president having this very high stakes week at NATO. And for former President Trump, he's got a big week, too. Any minute, he could announce his running mate, presumably before the Republican convention begins next week. Savannah, he's got rallies in Florida and PA. So a really critical week here in this campaign.
Isn't one of the issues here that Democrats don't really know what Plan B would be, whether it would mean that Kamala Harris is the top of the ticket, or whether it would mean, as some have floated, in some mini primary or a fight at the convention that could potentially elevate another different Democrat we're not talking about?
Yeah, and let's just be real here. An open convention would be kind of bananas, Savannah. I mean, that's something that, like, historians, politicos, pundits talk about, because it would be just so out of what is the norm in modern presidential history here. And you're hitting on the phrase that I think you hear from some of those who support President Biden right now and who have supported him since that debate performance, which is, OK, what's the plan? For the Democrats who are calling for him to withdraw from the ticket, what is your plan B? Now, you are seeing, as Gabe pointed out, a bit of a coalescing around Vice President Kamala Harris. It is difficult to see how she wouldn't end up being at the top of the ticket if President Biden were to withdraw. Remember that the apparatus of the party, the money, all of sort of the infrastructure, the ground game piece of it would go to her. She would inherit it. But the bottom line is this: there is not an indication right now that President Biden is going to withdraw from this race. In fact, it is exactly the opposite. You heard him in that new interview. He is all in right now. As he says, he's in it to win it. And even this morning, his campaign is out with a new ad focusing not on his debate performance, but on the the issue of abortion access, an issue that they think he's strong in based on where the polling is. So they are full steam ahead.
Well, let's talk about former President Trump on the Republican side. For many, many months, there's been circulating this plan for 2025 and a new Trump administration. It's from a conservative group called the Heritage Foundation, and it's controversial in some quarters. And for the first time, we're hearing former President Trump on whether or not he supports this. So can you kind of explain what it is and what the significance is of this?
Yeah, for sure. So former President Trump is moving to distance himself from this. It's called Project 2025. It's not directly affiliated with his campaign, but as you say, created by a conservative think tank. This think tank has a lot of ties to the Trump administration, former Trump officials. It's basically this 900-page blueprint built by the Heritage Foundation for what a second Trump term could look like. It does things like propose a federal government under tighter presidential control. It would replace thousands of civil employees with political appointees, presumably more loyal to the former president. Now, Mr. Trump, in a new post online, says he knows nothing about Project 2025. He disagrees with some of what's in this plan, and the group itself says it does not speak for any candidate or campaign. But this has really taken an interesting role in this campaign because President Biden and his team have sought to tie Mr. Trump to what they describe as this extreme and dangerous agenda, Savannah.
All right, lots to discuss with you, Hallie. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on our streaming channel, Today All Day. To watch, head to today.com/allday or click the link right here.